This lesson will be for Chapter 3, Lesson 4, Multiplying Decimals by Another Decimal. So to start, please open up your textbook to page 201 right now, and make sure you have your pencil and highlighter ready as well. When you have your materials ready, go ahead and continue the recording. Today we're going to be multiplying decimals by other decimals. When multiplying a decimal by another decimal, we're just going to pretend to multiply whole numbers instead, because oftentimes the decimal point can kind of be confusing or intimidating for students. So then, at the end though, we need to place our decimal point, and we're going to do this by finding the sum of the number of decimal places in each factor. The product has the same number of decimal places then. So we're going to take a problem like 4.7 times 3.62, and instead of worrying about those decimal points, we're just going to go ahead and take 47 times 362, which seems a lot friendlier to us. So let's look at the examples. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and take 3.6 and multiply it by 5/100ths. So we're going to go ahead and estimate 3.6. 3 is my largest place value, so the 6 is big enough to push my 3 to a 4. And my largest place value is this 0 up here, and the 0 behind it is not big enough to make it change. So our answer is going to be very small because 4 times 0 is 0. So going through the problem then, let's go ahead and actually rewrite it over here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and just take out our decimal points. So I'm going to take 36 and multiply by 5. So please make sure you're writing over here in your book just like I am. So then continuing on, 6 times 5 is 30. I'll write down the 0, put the 3 up on top to carry, and 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3 more is 18. But now I need to go back and figure out where that decimal point actually should be. So I'm going to go back and count. There's 1, 2, 3 digits behind my decimal. So then going back to my product over here, I have 0, 8, and 1. So the decimal has to be in front because I have to have the same number of decimal places over here in my the original problem as over here in my answer. So now that I have 3 numbers behind it, I'll put a 0 out in front to hold up the place value. So my answer is 0 and 180 thousandths. And as we know with decimals, we don't have to keep that extra 0 at the end, so we could say it is 18/100ths. Let's try another one. Here we are in number 2. Let's start off with our estimate. Our largest place value is the 0, and this 1 behind it is not big enough to make it change, so it's about 0. And the 7 is in our greatest place value, and the 2 is not big enough to make it change, and 0 times 7 is 0. So again, our answer is going to have to be small. So in the number 112 thousandths, I have 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal. And in 7.2, I have 1 decimal place. So my answer, the product, will have to have 4 total decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and skip using the boxes over here. Let's just work over here on our side by ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop the decimal places. I'm going to take 112 then and multiply by 72. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And I'm going to hold my place value because I'm not multiplying by the ones anymore. I'm going to be multiplying actually by 10. So 7 times 2 is 14. Carry the 1. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. And 7 times 1 is 7. So when I add it up, I get 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 8 is 10. And 1 plus 7 is 8. So I'm going to have the digits 8064 in my answer, and I have to go back. I had 4 total decimal places. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll add the decimal right out here in front and add a 0 to protect it. And 8,064 10,000ths is a very small number, which then matches up with my estimate of 0. So 0.64 is approximately 0. So this is a reasonable answer. So let's do a couple here together on this page. So I'm going to start with an estimate, and I'm going to round to 5, and the 8 is going to push my 2 to a 3, so I know my answer will be about 15. So I'm just going to take out the decimals and I'm going to write it as a product of whole numbers. So 57 times 28. So starting with the 8 times 7 is 56. Carry the 5. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 5 is 45. I'm going to hold my place value. I'm not multiplying by the ones anymore. I'm going to now multiply by 10, which is, I have 2 groups of 10 or 20. So 2 times 7 is 14, carry the 1, and 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. Add them together, and 6 plus 0 is 6, 5 plus 4 is 9, 4 plus 1 is 5, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So I'm going to go back and count my decimal places. I had 1, 2 digits behind the decimal. So in my answer, I need 1, 2 decimals. So 15 and 96 hundredths. And this is a good answer because it's very close to my estimate up here at the top. All right, go ahead and try to solve B and C on your own in your textbook, and then pause the recording, and when you're finished, turn on the recording again to check your answers. All right, let's check your answers with mine. For B, I got 2,060 10,000ths. I simply made it, rounded it off from 4 to 4 times 0 equals 0. And then I just dropped the decimal places and did 412 times 5, and I got 2,060. But then I went back and counted my decimal places. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits behind the decimal. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. My decimal has to go out here in front, and I add a 0 to protect it. On problem C, I did the same thing. I rounded the first number to 0 and the second one to 4 and got an estimate of 0. So I know my number is going to be small again. I dropped all the decimals and just took out the whole numbers and made it 14 times 37. And so when I multiplied and added, I got 518. Well, then I knew I needed 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places, but I only had 3 digits. So then I annex or add a 0 in front of it to get that decimal point in the correct place. Right here, and then I added a 0 out front to protect it. So if you have questions, come and see me. Otherwise, continue on with the video. So this is just a little reminder that if there's not enough decimal places in our product, you have to annex or add zeros to the left. And remember that annex means add. So we saw that just on the last slide, that we had to add a 0 to get the right number of decimal places. So taking a look at this problem, let's start off with an estimate that 1.4 is about 1, and 67 thousandths is about 0. So our estimate, our answer is going to be pretty small. It's going to be down near 0. So let's go ahead and take off what they did. Let's do it my way over here on the side. So let's just take out 67 and multiply by 14. Get rid of all those zeros and the decimal places. So 7 times 4 is 28, carry the 2. And 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 is 26. I'm going to hold my decimal place because I'm not going to be multiplying by 4 anymore in the ones. I'm going to be multiplying really by 10, or the 1 out here in the tens place. So 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 times 6 is 6. If we add, we get 8. 6 plus 7 is 13, carry the 1. And 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So I have 938. But now I need to go and find out how many decimal places I need. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting here, I have 1, 2, 3 digits behind my decimal. I need to annex or add that 0 in front of it to get the 4th decimal place. Then I'll draw my big decimal and put a 0 out in front to protect it. So our answer is 938 10,000ths. All right, let's go ahead and try example number 4 together. And we're going to take this part straight off. We're going to go down here and work on this side instead. So let's take a look up here. They said, how many decimal places will we have? We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. There's 5 digits behind the decimals in those two numbers before we multiply. So we're going to have to annex zeros probably. So let's go down here and do our multiplication. So 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then I'm going to hold that place value because I'm not multiplying by the ones anymore. I'm done. I'm multiplying now by, not by 5, it's really 50. So 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. So now we add. 5 times 0 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 2 is 3. And the 2 plus nothing up there is a 2. So we said the decimal has to be 5 decimal places. There has to be 5 decimals in here. So let's rewrite our number. And this only has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to add a 0 up here in front and put a decimal in front of it and put a 0 out in front. So 0.0238 is a very small number, and we have our 5 decimal places. All right, let's try one of these together, and then I'll have you do the other two on your own. So starting off up here, I see 32 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. And looking back at my numbers, I need 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places, but I only have 1, 2, 3 numbers. So I'm going to annex a 0 and put it out in front and protect it with another one. So my answer is 0.0128, or 128 10,000ths. All right, go ahead and try solving E and F. Pause the recording, and then turn it back on when you're finished and check your answers. All right, let's see if your answers match mine. For E, I got 5,330 hundred thousandths. I took 205 times 26 and got 5,330, and then I went back and counted my decimal places. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so I had 1, 2, 3, 4 digits, so I added a 0, I annexed it, put a decimal, and put a 0 out in front to protect it. On problem F, I took 133 times 6 and got 798. Counted my decimal places. I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, but I only had 3 digits, so I annexed a 0, or added it, put the 0 and a 0 in front, so we got 798 10,000ths. Let's try a story problem. Same manner. A car can travel 28.45 miles on 1 gallon. The tank in the car can hold 11.5 gallons. How many miles can this car travel then on a full tank of gas? So let's go ahead and take 2845 times 11.5. So 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42, carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Alright, and then I have multiplied by my 1s, so I hold my place value with the 0. So 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. So now I've multiplied by the tens. Now I'm in the hundreds, so I have to have 2 zeros. Bottom row, and 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. So we add it all up and we get 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, carry the 1, and 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 2 more, it would be 12, carry that, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So I have 3, 2, 7, 1, 7, 5. And let's go back and count our decimals. I have 1, 2, 3. So I need 1, 2, 3, and I'll have to put my decimal right there between the 7 and the 1. So we would say the car could go about 327 and 175 thousandths, or we could say 327 or 330 miles on a tank of gas. So let's go ahead and have you try some practice problems. Go to page 205 and 206. I'd like you to do 1 through 9, 10 through 17, and number 19. And for a bonus, you can do all 19 problems. Good luck, and let me know if you have trouble, and I'll help you.